What's up, Online Empire Academy? I'm so excited to be here with you. I am with Robyn Johnson. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome. Today's a wonderful day.
It is a good day. I just got to know Robyn. The Online Empire Academy has known you for a while and got a chance to sit down with you after CES. And I'm so excited for what you're bringing to the table. I mean, and just the little conversation that we've had, it is you are tapping into some really important areas that not a lot of people are touching on. Can you kind of share with us what you're doing, what's been going on with you?
Yeah, so I mean, like I have, my book just launched. It's called The Unlikely Entrepreneur, and it's how I transformed $100 into a seven-figure business, because that's what I started with.
Come
And
on.
in it, I talk about like how to scale from your first thousand to 5,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 a month, because each one has a plateau, and you kind of at each point, like from 1,000, your first $1,000 in sales to 5,000 a month, you kind of go from somebody who sells stuff online to I have an e-commerce business,
Hmm.
and you have to start thinking a little bit differently in order to scale up, So we go over that. And then the Q4 boot camp, we're really focusing in on how to get the most potential out of Q4. And really the secret bonus in Q4 that nobody talks about is this is a chance to scale your business, like 8 months worth of scaling in 2 months.
Hmm.
So this is like putting your business on fast forward. I think a lot of times people are like, it's a magical time. And yes, there's Santa Claus and all that stuff, right? And like Santa is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big Santa fan, but it's less magic and more harvest. Like,
Hmm.
like you've been planting the seeds all year round or since you started, right? And, now is the time to really focus in, get really serious about your business and really reap the results. And it's not too late to plant seeds. You just, if you're starting today, then you just have to plant seeds that grow faster.
Hmm. That's really good. That's good. And one of the things what you just said was interesting to me is that you hit plateaus. And I found that in myself. I remember I had hit $300 on eBay and I was so excited. I was like, I just made net profit $300. Like it was the most exciting moment. But then I realized I would have to scale double what I was and I'd have to list double and get into Amazon if I ever wanted to go bigger. What are some of the pitfalls for the people in the Online Empire Academy who are just getting started? What are some of the pitfalls that you're seeing that they could easily avoid if they just knew it now?
So, there's a pitfall in Q4 that is especially bad. So that's taking everything that you know about e-commerce and just throwing it out the window and just buying toys because that's what everybody tells you to do. Like, I promise you, there are more Christmas presents under the tree than just toys. Mom needs something from K Jewelers as well, right? So, think outside of the box. But I think the biggest thing that I see people do is they try to run their business without knowing the numbers. They think that maybe I can just cut a little bit of a corner, need to do a little less work, but that is the quickest way to spending an entire year and realizing you only made $100.
Wow. Wow. That's really good. I think it's interesting. We were talking about it earlier. One of my frustrations is seeing people put stuff on layaway and thinking that they're going to be able to pay it off and like you said, cutting a corner in the sense of, well, I pay it on credit, it'll all the margins will be there, but after fees and stuff, if you're not calculating that, I think that the cutting corners thing is huge. So that's good information, guys. Take it, use it.
And
um
can I just add one thing on that too?
Please.
Like if you're so Amazon and PayPal and Cabbage, they all give you these great loans, but they have to be paid back in 6 months, right? So like if you borrow like 60 grand from Amazon, you have 6 weeks to pay back 10 grand.
Ugh.
So so if you're going to take a loan like that, here's my advice. First, you best have some serious results. You better know that you can produce those results, because otherwise what I see happen is people get paralyzed by the fear of the debt and they just get stopped. So you need to have a plan and you need to know you can produce results.
That's good.
And then the second thing you need to do is you need to have like the day that money hits your account, like a plan to spend that all within the first 4 days. So you want to spend it, have a plan, spend it all, get it all in Amazon as quick as possible, and then you're going to hold back that first payment in a savings account, and it like put the credit card or whatever that's in it, like in a ice cube in the freezer. Don't touch it. This way you have that so you don't lose all of your liquidity right as Q4 starts. So, and then if it costs, so depending on what your interest rate is, for like Amazon rates are probably the best, and PayPal's. But let's say, when I looked at my loan, it was like 60 grand was going to cost me like 3 grand. So what you need to do is take that 3 grand in interest. And if I buy 1,000 items, then I need to add $3 onto the cost of every one of those items for
That's
the
a
first
great
term.
point.
Yeah. Because, so you can do debt, but you got to make sure you have bigger margins. Otherwise, you're just going to be killing yourself packing boxes so that Amazon and Cabbage have more money.
That's a great point. And that's something that a lot of sellers were overlooked because it's like, oh, it's a business expense, or, I can, do whatever with it. And it's like, no, like you actually have to pay attention to the cost that's going into it. And I think what you brought up was a perfect point of the $3. Add that $3 on top. If you can't make your margins work with the interest that's going to happen on top of that, don't do it. It's not worth it.
And people always want to know, like, should I stay on this list service or should I not stay on a list service? And my advice is always, if you can add so if you, let's say it's a $100 list and you buy on average 100 items, if you can still make good margins and you're still getting consistent sell through, adding $1 onto each one of those items, breaking that cost up, then it's a good investment. If you're still making money after that. If you're not, then you want to look at, okay, is this the right thing for my business?
That's really good. That's really good. Well, man, this is great stuff. But I want to know more about your Q4 business, the Q4 Bootcamp. Share with me more in depth, like what is it that you're helping people do?
So the first thing we want to do is we want to have intentionality. So, I think a lot of people, we like the idea of starting a business, but we lack that ability to say, all right, here's what, in fact, you can't see it, but like right over here, there's a board. It's my vision board, and it's exactly what we want. So when I'm working, I look up, and if I'm not doing something that's going to get me to there, I stop what I'm doing.
Wow.
Because so you have to have that intentionality. So the first thing we're gonna, the part of the bonus is available right when you sign up is you get a Q4 calendaring and goal setting. So it's a video, and we're gonna look more deeply into it as we go into it. But okay, so you want to have a gross of 100,000 for December. We did like 112 last December. So 1,000. So let's take down to numbers that new people can, because that seems like $1 million. So let's just say that you wanted to sell 10 grand for Christmas because you wanted to have a 3 grand profit, right? And you're doing 100% ROI. So that what we're going to do is we're going to say, then you have to have 10 grand into Amazon before Black Friday. And then so if you're going to have 10 grand now and you want 10 grand now, or 10 grand in December, and maybe you only have 1,000 in inventory in Amazon, how much do you need to put in every week so that Black Friday you have 10 grand? And because not everything's going to sell through, right? So you have to have that. And then that first second week in December, we're going to start looking at what changes do we need to make for first quarter? Because I've never done drugs, but I guess that Q4 is like doing drugs,
Yes, that's awesome.
Because you're like, I'm like on top of the world. Nothing can touch me. I am the hottest stuff ever. And then like December 26th happens and you're like, wait, is this thing on? Because the sales just like you can almost feel them like bounce off the ground, So, how can you keep that bounce from happening and kind of bracing yourself for the impact? And then we're also going to look at, I have my accountant who's going to come on and she's going to talk about what things you need to do to lower your tax liabilities. We're going to be talking about what things are good to, do for fourth quarter. So like if you need to have a big expense, you want to do that in December to have a tax write-off. But if you buy inventory with that windfall, that's not actually deductible because you don't get to deduct the cost of inventory until it sells because it's just an asset. So, by doing a couple things, because if you can postpone that debt to the IRS, right, then that gives you time to turn that. So that's better than a loan. So we're going to be talking about that, how to look at your inventory health report, because that if I could marry an Amazon report, it would probably be that report. I like it's dear to my heart. So, because you can look at that and you can say, okay, here's my inventory health report. Like, these are the items that are stale that I thought would sell but didn't. So what do they all have in common? Oh, I've been buying generics that don't sell. Or, hey, look, all these listings I thought they would be fine, but they really need to be fixed. So,
Yeah.
people are always like this time of year, like September, August, September, everybody's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Because you're putting more money in, but the sales haven't started to go up yet. So the inventory health report is how you determine if you're making bad buying decisions, and it's how you isolate bad buying patterns before they become a problem.
Gosh, that's so good. And that's something that I think we all need, in a sense of like a reality check. There's so many times, I mean, this past summer, I love eBay. So, I try to take any principle I learned on Amazon and translate it to eBay at the same. So for you eBay sellers out there too,
Yeah.
I ended up taking a good, I mean, it was almost every single product on my list that hadn't sold in 2 months, and I took them all down. Took every listing down, and I assessed the situation, exactly what you're talking about. And I wish that I had done that the month before, because I either redid the listings or sold the stuff at a garage sale because it wasn't selling. And I've ended up making more money and not had to store all that stuff. So, just I love that. I'm taking that one. That's a good one.
Well, and like, so people, I think, okay, so I was not doing, so you have to have, the other thing we're going to, that's part of it, is you get access to an Excel sheet of a weekly cash flow, because this time of year cash flow is really important. So
Really?
when I was starting to do that, so I was like, I would talk to, because I have a coach, right? And I was like, all right, I'm going to do my cash flow for 6 weeks. We had this week, I'm going to do the cash flow. She's like, all right, that's enough. And, like, we had like a really frank conversation. She's like, what is the deal with this? Why are you not doing it? And I was like, like, because I'm a girl, I was like, I'm afraid if I do it, what if I'm not really making money? And she's like, well, wouldn't that be good to know before you file bankruptcy?
Mm.
And I was like, well, would you put it that way? Yeah, it really is. And, I did the cash, I've been putting it off for months, right? I had the cash flow done in less than 3 hours. And I will tell you, we've been making so much better decision making going on in our buying, and the stress level dropped. I think sometimes we're afraid, like, if we look, we'll find something we don't like.
Yeah.
But like, it's better to know. Like, like, when I ask my husband if my pants don't make my butt look fat, I really want to know. Like, he needs to say it in a nice way, but I want to know, because I don't want to see the pictures later and be like, so
I asked you. I asked
you, and he'd be like, well, so like, it's good to know this before it gets, before Q4 is over. So look at this stuff now, and it might be a little scary. Like, that's actually our accountability thread in the boot camp. You get access to a Facebook group, and our accountability thread is Operation Clean the Shelf, Find the Desk. So, because I don't know if almost every eBay seller I have met has had a shelf that's like the I'll deal with you later, but I hope later never comes. But what happens when I'm working with coaching clients, what I hear the most is, well, every time I walk by, it's just a reminder I shouldn't have bought that thing.
Totally.
Yeah. And so you could have had like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching on your phone, and then you look at the shelf and you're like, I'm a loser. So you can't ever capitalize off that momentum, because it sucks the wind. So like, either list it or throw it in the trash, donate it to somebody, get rid of it, because it's just bad juju in your space,
That's really good. And I think I loved your example of like, do these jeans make me look like my butt look fat or whatever? Like, that's a great example, because there's so many of those that we have that we're like, oh, like, does that item, like, is it affecting me? And like, you have to look at that. I think that's really, really good. One of my questions that I had with all of this was, a lot of these courses are X amount of hours, and I want to know before I go into the fourth quarter boot camp, how long is it? How long should I expect to take this on? And what is in a sense the ROI that I'm getting out of it?
So I have 9 webinars that are included in a 30 minutes content, 30 minutes Q&A. And so that's the time commitment. Now there'll be replays and transcripts. So some people like to read if they read faster than I talk. And I know I talk pretty fast, so that's a challenge. But but if they read faster, then they can read it. And then there's the Facebook group, which is optional, and we'll have like accountability threads. But the real ROI is, so if you knew that the actions you were going to take in your business were going to succeed, what difference would you be doing? Anything different in your business if you knew you couldn't fail?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's most people's response, right? So most people think that, like we always say, like, you can't play if you don't win. But really how we play is, if I don't play, I can't lose. So we always hold like a little piece back, because if I hold a little piece back and then I didn't win, then I can be like, oh, well, it's because I wasn't really trying, So this is a chance to play full out, to have people with experience give you honest feedback. As you can tell, I do not mince words. I do not beat around the bush. I will just tell you, that's a dumb idea. I love you. And out of my love, I'm telling you, those jeans are not appropriate for this venue.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So, there's that. And then there's, things that we're going to be talking about are things that are going to affect your bottom line. So we're going to be talking. So I don't know if you know how we do a lot of wholesale. We also do a lot of retail arbitrage. So I'm just going to let you guess. How much do you think my operations? I was in the hotel room writing my book, so I was slacking. But Rochelle went out and she did some retail arbitrage. I've been saying 2 days because I don't think people will believe me otherwise. It was really more like 6 hours. How much do you think she spent? All 70% ROI or more.
Oh man, $1,000, $2,000,
$30,000.
Oh my gosh!
And I can tell you, she was like, this is too easy. She came into the room and she's like, yeah, retail arbitrage is dead. And she like sat down on the bed, because like, and like, that's not like I did it once because it had a shock value thing. We do this all the time. We spend 10,000 in a day, like, without breaking a sweat. We spend less than 4 hours sourcing a week, and we buy a lot. And the reason that we are able to do that is because we've created systems. So what we have to offer is, if you want the systems to really scale your business, if you really want to take on treating your business like a business, this is the opportunity. There's no hard sell. If you don't want to do it, I don't want you in the program. So it's there for the taking.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I know for me, like, I've been out with Brett's teams. I mean, that's how I started. I was starting with Brett Bartlett's teams, going to the arbitrage and doing the garage sales and all of that. And, we dropped $9,000 in a store, and it was always so shocking. But like, for me, I'm thinking for my personal business, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to drop $30,000 if I had it. Like, I'm growing. The fun thing is doing all these webinars, doing all these podcasts, doing all of this. I'm growing with you guys. Like the Online Empire Academy, I'm growing, I'm learning just alongside. So it's exciting to hear that you're out there doing it, and that you want to teach people.
And and so giving you like the steps. So like, okay, so this is where I'm at now. Like 30,000 a day would not be realistic for you. Like, and so like giving you the tools that you need to scale up to where, so if you haven't done this already, one of the things that I heard this, Laurel Langer said this, and she said, and she's in The Secret. Have you ever seen that movie? She's it's actually like, if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, it's also a good book. But like, it's based off of that. So she said, like, if you want to have a business, if you want a business, to have a successful business, you need to say like, okay, this is the life I want. This is how much that life's going to cost. And then you have that in your mind. So you're like, okay, I need $8,000 a month in order to be able to travel, do what I want to do. Right. So how can I have my business generate $8,000?
Gosh, that's so good.
So, and some people, it's not $8,000. Some people, it's just like, I need $500. How can I have my business? So that's the kind of intentionality that we're going to bring to the Q4, wherever you're at. If you just we're doing it for intermediate sellers. So we're asking for people with $5,000 or $20,000 in sales total, or $5,000 sales a month, because we want to keep this high level, right? Um, but the reason that we're doing that is because we want to be able to meet you where you are, and we want to really make a powerful difference, even if it's a smaller group of people.
That's really cool. And you primarily use FBA, correct? Just for my own sake and understanding.
So we do like 99% FBA on our Amazon business. We still do a lot on eBay, but on Amazon we do almost all all FBA. Well, merchant fulfill that last 2 weeks, because it gives you 2 more weeks of the Christmas season, right?
Yeah.
So enjoy the drug while you have it, and then and then also if there's like a new to market item that we feel like is going to be a fast fizzle, so something that's going to be hot for a little bit but it's going to fizzle fast, we'll merchant fulfill it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Getting into all of this, what are some of the do's and don'ts for the boot camp? Like, what do you not want? What do you want?
So you don't want, let's see, as far as the boot camp, like, don't spend the money if you're not going to do the work. Like, I know that a lot of people are like, oh, buy my program, buy my program, buy my program. But in just listening to me, I wish that just by listening to me speak, people could make more money. But, like, it's really, if you're not going to take what's going to be offered and apply it, like, if that's not something that you're up to, then spend the money on inventory. It'll be better spent that way. I'm not looking to take anybody's mortgage payment. I'm not looking to get rich off this. I want to help people, and I hope that comes across, that I really do. We really want to make a difference for people. And the do is, if you apply the things that we teach have worked for a lot of people. And that's why we teach them, and they've worked for us. And so I don't know if you know, so not only do I do this, my stepmom does this, my aunt does this, my uncle does this, my sister does this. So now my sister actually just got a promotion, so she hasn't been doing as much Amazon because she's got her career now. So I mean, like, family dinners are all about Amazon for us. Everything's about Amazon, about eBay, everything, right? So this isn't just something that I've done for myself. This is something that I've taught other people how to do.
That's so cool. I love it. Well, do you have any ending words of wisdom before we sign off? Do you have any ending words of wisdom for Q4, for selling, anything?
So if I can do two, the first is know your numbers. Knowing your numbers is really the access to getting what you want. Like, knowing don't guess on Amazon fees. Don't, like, just blindly do something because somebody said. Know the numbers, have a plan. And then the second thing I just want to share, like, when you decide to take your business from one step to another, there's a leap. It's kind of like in the movies where, like, they jump off one roof and then onto another, right? And they, like, roll, and it sounds really glamorous, but, and even in a comic book, you see Superman, he's like, dun, 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 dun. They show this one, and then they show the wall, and then they show him past, like, after the wall, right, with the big hole. They never show the frame where, like, the gravel's in his face and it's, like, pushing his eyeball back, and they don't. I just probably messed up my makeup, but like, they don't show that. And that's the reality. When you take a big step, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. It's gonna feel scary. You're gonna wonder if you're just gonna bounce off that wall and look like an idiot. Like, that's natural. And when people try to pretend like it's always gonna be graceful, they're lying. It's just lying. There is no grace in taking the big steps. A lot of times it's more like, ah! So just expect it to be like that.
I love it. That's great. Well, if they want to join the boot camp, what's a good website to go to?
So if you can go to bestfromthenest.com. It's best because it used to be our company's name is Robyn's Nest. So they're taking the best from our nest and giving it to you. So bestfromthenest.com. And then I have a bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/Robyn with a capital R, ROBYN, capital Q 4.
I love it. Okay, the website one more time.
So bestfromthenest.com or bit.ly, so bit.ly/capital ROBYN, capital Q 4.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really did enjoy it. Those were great tips and stuff I will be using.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Until next time, Empire, have a good one.